Welcome to the Women Lighthouse podcast, your friendly guide through all the ups and downs of life. We're here to remind you that every woman has the strength to take charge of her journey and make her dreams come true. Each week, we'll share heartwarming stories and helpful tips from amazing women who have faced their own challenges and come out stronger. Tune in, get inspired, and let's start this exciting journey towards achieving your dreams together. The Women Lighthouse, your guide to a brighter tomorrow. Hello, ladies. You're welcome to today's episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. It's great to have you tune in today. Let me begin by saying a very happy new year to you. Welcome to 2025, which is the year where we're going to explore great possibilities and going to have great achievements despite whatever life brings our way. So in the spirit of the new year, we're going to be talking about how you can let go of your past pain and look forward with positivity to what the future holds. So basically this year, we're beginning 2025 on a clean slate. Yes, we know that at the beginning of the year, we begin the year with a lot of reflections, things that we would have done better in the previous year and things that we can do better. Usually when the year begins, there's this hype, there's this motivation, there's this energy that is just there. But one thing we need to know is that there are certain times that we hold on to our past experiences or our past hurts, and it has a way of pulling us back. So even if we start the year motivated, pumped up, fueled up, as the year begins to progress, the wounds of the past begin to pull us back into our shell. So the question is, how can you let go of your past hurts? And how can you push forward to achieving and maximizing what the future holds? So before we dive into this, I want to lay a foundation, which is by really clarifying the difference between a hurt and an offense. When I say hurt, I'm talking about anything that has caused you pain or injury, either it's physically or it's emotionally. And when we talk about offense, offense is basically how you respond to what has caused you pain. Is it the annoyance you feel as a result of the pain that you've been exposed to, or the resentment or the frustration? However you feel and perceive that hurt or that insult that you have been through, that is what we call an offense. So basically, why is it even important to let go of the past? Can't you just live with your past and still achieve greatness in all that you do? Why do you need to go through the process of letting go of your past? So I'll begin by reading a scripture. I love to read scriptures. It provides better clarity. So in Matthew chapter 5, verse 44, the Bible says that, but I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Does that make sense? Is that even logical? So basically, what God is telling us is that irrespective of what anyone may have done to you in the past or even in the present, it is your responsibility to love them regardless. In other words, how you respond to hurt shouldn't necessarily be equated with the actions of the person who hurts you. So where people will say, do me, I do you, man no go vex. Like If you give it to me, I will give it to you back to back. In the measure in which you give it to me, I will give it to you. And that's where revenge comes in. So God is just trying to tell us here that we should love our enemies, love those who have cursed you, those who have hurt you, love those who hate you, and even go a step further to practice that love by praying for them. Naturally, you will not want to love them, but when you go a step further to pray for them, it has a way of helping you to gradually extend the arm of love. If we remember, when Jesus died for us, the word of God says, while we were yet sinners, meaning when we didn't even deserve that love and that gesture and that sacrifice, he still did it for us. So that's the first reason why you need to let go of your past, because God said so. The next reason is peace. Let's begin this year with peace in our hearts. Very important to create an atmosphere of peace. You are responsible for the peace you experience. You are responsible for the atmosphere of things around you. So that's intentionality to just want to go into this year having peaceful encounters. So in order to have peaceful encounters and not tension every here and there, it's important to let go of your past. Another thing is so that you can grow, as a new year unfolds, you would celebrate your birthday in this new year and you would grow a year older by age. That's the natural order of things. So as you grow physically by age, that's chronologically, you should also grow in other areas of your life. Emotionally, you should grow spiritually, your relationships, in everything you do. This year, we're pursuing growth. So, in order to grow, to be a better version of who you were last year, you need to let go of your past. Another thing is that to avoid regrets, if you followed my journey, which I shared last year, you would see so many places where I shared one or two experiences I had with my dad, and there was a time we were not really in a good place in our relationship. And I was grateful that I was able to let go of that whole tension and I was able to move past it. And when he died, I didn't have any regrets. So that's the thing. When someone is alive and you're constantly seeing them, you may think you do not need those people in your life. They're insignificant, they're unimportant. In fact, if they die, I would not need them anymore. But when actually that person is no longer in your life and has shared a critical part of your life, you may begin to have some regrets that, oh, I wish I had actually put in some effort to ensure that things between us at least were cordial, even if we were not necessarily on the same page all the time. So just to avoid having to be in any form of regrets, regretting of your actions and all that, it's important to be intentional about letting go of your past. And the last reason is so that you're going to take control of your life. 2025, you need to be in control. As you allow the Lord lead you, definitely, but you will not allow your experiences control you. You would be the one to be intentional about taking control of your life and determining the joy you're going to experience this year. No negativity, no positive vibes only, basically. So, those are the reasons why you need to let go of your past. So now let's run through how can you let go of your past in the year 2025. What can you do to let go of your past in 2025? First, you need to acknowledge your feelings. So I'm going to run through this using a practical experience. Let me give you a background. So basically, when I think of this, I think of my relationship with my dad. Okay, we're three. We're three. I have two siblings, two boys, and me. I'm the only girl. And my dad has, I've always been the apple of my dad's eye. And basically, my dad had always desired the best for me. I say hard because he's late, he's not alive. So he had always desired the best for me, sent me to the best schools, giving me the best, never deprived me of anything. I'd always been so vocal about how I was the apple of his eye. And that's how close we were in our relationship. And also, my dad also always loved for me to marry from our tribe, which is Akwa Ibom. But as events turned out, I made a decision that the person I wanted to marry turned out not to be from Akwa Ibom. So that was the first challenge in our relationship. The fact that all the expectations he had had for me were not necessarily what was playing out. I wasn't marrying from Akwa Ibom. Secondly, the person I was marrying didn't necessarily fit into what he would have wanted from me with regards to professionalism, in the sense that I'm a medical doctor. He would have preferred I also marry a fellow professional, even if he wasn't a doctor, but someone that was in a professional field, maybe a lawyer or an engineer or whatever. Then also when it came to socioeconomic status, my husband also wasn't in the same socioeconomic status as my family was. So it's okay for every parent to have an expectations for their child. So the challenge in our relationship began when I wasn't bulging in the choice of the life partner that I wanted to get married to. He spoke to me and shared his thoughts and shared the fact that he would prefer I don't marry this person, and gave me his reasons. But I insisted and I said, Dad, this is the person I love. This is what I believe is the will of God for me, and this is the person I have chosen to marry. So that's how the challenge of our relationship began. We didn't see eye to eye when it came to marrying my husband. So I'm just going to summarize this story, because maybe on another day, when the need arises, I would go into more details. But I'm just giving this background because it was a journey. It wasn't something that happened in a year or maybe 2 years. And even after marriage, it was also a journey. We were not in that place or level of intimacy in our relationship because of this challenge and difference in opinion that we faced. And there were times that by his actions, I was hurt. And it hurt me because this was someone I love, and this was someone I knew loved me. But we were just not seeing eye to eye on it. Then there was during that season of my life, I'd always been listening to Joyce Meyer, but I took up that. I think there's a book she wrote, "Do Yourself a Favor, Forgive Yourself." So I know that also during that process, there were hurtful things I had said to my dad. There were hurtful things he had said to me, and I just was tired of the negativity, the back and forth, the tension. I just wanted a loving and peaceful and a cordial relationship. And I was just tired and I needed to move past it. So that's why I began by saying you need to acknowledge your feelings. You need to recognize the emotions you're feeling. Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Like in my own sense, I was exhausted. That was it. I was drained, emotionally drained. I was frustrated. I was exhausted because of how things are dragged. I was tired. Yes, I was hurt. I was hurt also, because when you think about someone, when you say things, you can't take back the things that have been said. And if you now begin to dwell on those things that have been said, it can really, really be hurtful. So I was sad also, being that our relationship was not as it used to be before. There was always that elephant in the room anytime we were together. You could see that he was also trying his best to ensure that things were okay, but the elephant in the room was still there. And remember, we are Nigerians, African culture, where the parent is always right. It's not like the Western culture where a parent and a child can have a conversation, rub minds, and all. We're even trying to adopt that now when parenting our own children. But my point was, it was in that time where the parents are always right. Your parents are always right. So you have to be the one to conform to what your parents are saying. So I knew that if this situation was going to be resolved, if I was waiting on my dad to take that step, nothing would happen. So I knew that I had to be the one to take a step towards letting go of this hurt I was feeling and moving forward. And like I said, I was listening a lot to Joyce Meyer, and she shared her story of how she was abused by her father, and her mom was aware about everything that was going on and all that, and how that situation had formed a lot of how her personality turned out, how angry she was, how hot tempered and temperamental she was, but how she also had to go through the process of forgiving herself, forgiving her dad, forgiving her mom, even to the point that even when they were aged before they died, she had to be the one that was responsible for caring for them. Imagine having to care for someone that has repeatedly abused you. The person doesn't deserve that love. But because she knew that she needed help. It was affecting her. It was affecting her own marriage. She was hurt. She was abused. She needed help. She knew there were certain things she had to do. And I also came to that realization, and I acknowledged my feelings. The next thing is to reflect on the past. Take some time to understand what has happened. I had to do that. I had to think of how it used to be before that's between me and my dad, before all this began to happen. And I had to ask myself, is this the kind of tension I want with the kids? Do I want my children to grow up and there's this tension, there's no acceptance, there's no love, there's negativity all around? Is that the kind of environment I want to expose my kids to? So I had to reflect on the past, and based on my reflections, I just made up my mind that no, I wanted better. I wanted peace. I just wanted to choose peace and mend our relationship and make things better. So the next thing you need to do is identify those things that trigger your past. Like for me, it was words. Anytime he made certain statements, and it just reminded me of everything, and I'm like, God, I am tired. There was one time I said I was even gonna like cut off. You understand how you be frustrated, and you're like, in fact, I can't deal again. I am tired. I'm not doing again. I don't care. I'm gonna choose myself. I'm gonna choose my sanity, and I'm going to cut off. That was like the decision I had made at some point in time. But help at noticing the triggers for me helped me also reassess how to handle those situations. I know sometimes when he starts with all those statements, I just told myself for peace to reign and so that there are no issues, I walk away. So, for instance, if we're having a conversation and I see that the language of the conversation is beginning to change, before he even gets there, oh, Dad, I'm coming, and I'm coming, I'll be back soon. And I just walk away so that there's an atmosphere of peace. I take control of the situation. So identify, knowing what triggers you or triggers that experience is very important. So for me, it was words, conversations. When I begin to, so not really having like a visual picture of things, but when I hear some words or some kind of statements, it begins to trigger me. And if I don't act immediately, the madness in me will be stirred up. So to avoid those situations, I just identify them quickly and I walk away. So when you understand these triggers, it will help you to know how to respond differently when it arises. So the next thing you decide to do is to forgive. When we talk about forgiveness now is not about the other person. Forgiveness is not determined by the other person. For instance, this person may still be doing something to hurt you, but irrespective of what the person does, you choose how you want to respond. So forgiveness has to do with you. What choice are you going to make towards this hurt that is being exposed to you? So forgiveness does not mean that you're going to condone the behavior. Ahead of time, you already tell yourself, I'm not going to allow this get to me. I am in charge. In advance, even though you don't deserve it, I have forgiven you. Then you remove yourself from that situation. So the beauty about forgiveness is it helps to free yourself of any form of negative energy or emotional burden or stress. So when you decide that you want to forgive the person that is involved in hurting you, it helps to manage your emotions and it helps to keep you sane and healthy. So, forgiveness is important. You begin by forgiving yourself, then you begin by forgiving the person. When you forgive this person, irrespective of what the person does, you know that it's insignificant. When I attained that level of maturity, I was so happy. Before, as you're saying one, I'm saying 10, like back to back, like it comes out unfiltered. You understand? I don't even have some level of control. As I'm hearing it, I'm answering you back. Like I really don't care. But I just looked at it. I'm like, this is my dad. And no matter what he may have done, I love him. And I had to actually pray and ask God for help. Like, God, I'm tired of the whole negativity. I just want things to be different for the sake of the children, and just let's have a cordial relationship. And I'm grateful to God I made that decision, because me and my father may never have had a conversation about the whole experience, but my actions to do these things first for myself helped in a great deal in mending our relationship. And our relationship in the last years of his life were far better than that initial period when we had our challenges. So the next thing is establish boundaries. Establish boundaries. I just remember that there was this time we had like a really heated argument. Like, he said some really hurtful things and I was angry and I walked away, and I told my mom I wasn't gonna come back. Like, I told her, if I'm coming back to this house, it's just to see you. Like, anything that has to do with daddy, I'm not interested. But my mom always kept saying something, which at the end, when I thought about it, I saw that it was true. She said, you didn't choose your father. God is the one that gave you this father. You cannot choose your father. So you have to learn to love him for who he is. And I would tell her that, but his actions are hurting me. Like, I can't cope. And she would say, yes, I understand, but he's your father. Then I knew that, okay, if I don't have a level of control over what he does, I have a level of control over what I can do, and I would have to protect myself. I would have to set boundaries. So I had to do that. I know that when it came to, like I mentioned earlier, when we're having conversations, there was this time I made him understand. I said, Daddy, this is my family. Like, I even told my mom, I can take, if you want to say anything about me, feel free, say it. But when it comes to my family, I'm not joking with my family. I told my mom that. But with my actions, when we had a misunderstanding, that day we had a heated misunderstanding, like, I drew the line and I told him, if you continue doing things this way, you will not see me and you will not see the kids. And I walked away and I gave myself a break. I didn't show up. I think I didn't show up for like a few days. And they were now trying to play the victim card. They are preventing me from seeing my grandchildren. Then it was just my son. They are preventing me from seeing my grandson. prevents me from seeing my grandson. And me, I just came, took their grandson to them. I didn't even talk to them. I just gave them their grandson and left. And I was in the other room. When I was done and was ready to go, I just carried my son and I left. But what I noticed was after that incident, even if my dad wasn't pleased about something, and I think my mom too would have spoken to him. I don't know what happened, but I believe she would have spoken to him. But I just noticed things changed after that day. He never for once openly and vividly said hurtful things towards me or my family after that incident. What happened, I don't know, but obviously my actions at that period, it wasn't to disrespect them actually, it was to pass a message that if you keep doing these hurtful things, I will not persistently expose myself to them. I would keep my distance. I didn't say it to threaten them. I just made my mom understand that I can't keep exposing myself to these negative things. There's a limit to what one can take. So it's like she spoke with him. So my point is you need to establish boundaries. And most times it has to be either by having a conversation or through your actions. But make sure when you are establishing boundaries is in a respectful and honorable and graceful manner. Don't do it to hurt anybody. Don't do it to threaten anybody. Just do it to protect. The essence for boundaries is to protect and shield yourself. So it's important that you set healthy boundaries and protect yourself from further. The next thing that you can do this year to let go of your past is to practice self compassion. You need to give yourself some grace. In this aspect, it may be you may have made some past mistakes or wrong decisions or taking some wrong actions. You need to, in Joyce Meyer's words, do yourself a favor and forgive yourself. Be kind to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. One principle for me in life is I do my best not to live in regret. If I have made wrong choices, I reflect on those choices I made, identify where I was wrong, take note of it so that I don't repeat it next time. And I move on. I don't dwell in that regret and keep allowing those regrets to haunt me and prevent me from moving forward. So you need to practice self-compassion. Another thing is you need to seek support wherever. For me, one of my greatest support system has been my husband. I remember those times when I would be crazy, I would be mad, I would be angry, I would be frustrated, and I would go and vent to him. And I would wonder what kind of human being is this? Because he would just tell me, calm down, don't worry, everything will be fine. Even at some points, my mom started like complaining to him about me, like when things happen between me and my dad, which actually is not just directed towards me. Sometimes it could be directed towards like me and my husband, but he just had a way of handling the whole thing very well. So she would just go and be reporting to him, your wife, your wife, your wife, your wife, that kind of thing and all that. And he would come and try to calm me down and just say, take it easy, don't worry, take it easy. And I would ask him, what kind of a human being are you? Like, are you not seeing what's happening? Why are you not responding the way I'm responding? So the beauty about support is the person that should be supporting you should be someone who is level-headed, someone who can calm you down, someone who can lift you up when you are down, someone who can shield you when you are exposed. So it has to be some kind of person that has that ability to do all this. So also, if there's need for professional support, if the experience was so traumatic and you need counseling or you need a therapist, please seek for one. Don't try to handle things alone if you cannot do so. And the last way is to create new memories. So, like I said, the end of my dad's life, that the later years of his life, for us as a family was a lot better. We had let go of everything. I had let go of my hurt. He had also moved past it. He accepted us. He prayed for me and my husband. He blessed us. It was lovely. Created memories with the kids. I brought the kids on almost on a regular basis. Like in a week, they could be with him about 4 times in a week. Spend time with him, take pictures, just have lovely moments. And the truth is now, when I think of the past, if I think of my dad, the first thing I think of is not that trying moments we had, is the new memories we created and the new memories we shared. When I think of my dad, I don't feel resentment. I don't feel anger. I don't feel hurt. I don't feel mad. I don't feel frustrated. Rather, I feel affection. I feel I miss him. I feel, Daddy, I wish you were here. This is what would have been happening if you were here. And in all honesty, that's how I feel. So you see the beauty of letting go of your past. At that point in time, it may seem like an impossible or a very daunting task. But if you take the step to go through these processes and give it time, you would heal from your past and you would build lovely memories. So here is to beginning a great 2025 on a clean slate. Look inward. Ask yourself, is there anything that is currently in my life that is going to hinder me from making the best of 2025? Whatever thing or whoever that person may be, now is the best time to address it. The word of the Lord says that a man that puts his hand on the plow and looks back is not fit. Also, holding on to the past can be likened to as a weight, in the sense that imagine yourself on a journey and you have a very heavy backpack, and imagine another person on a journey who is carrying a lighter backpack. And on the journey, you guys have to run. Who do you think will run faster and get to the finish line? The person that has a weightier backpack or someone who has a lighter backpack? So when you're going on a long journey of life, you need to travel light. Don't travel heavy. Don't let your past weigh you down. Look beyond your past and pick up the pieces of what remains and form it into something great and make the best out of every experience you may have been through. Here's wishing you once again a happy new year. See you on our next episode. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. We really hope today's episode has given you some great tools, resources, and a boost of confidence to take charge of your journey. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. You can also follow us on our social media handle for even more tips and a wonderful community that's all about supporting your growth. Join us next time for more uplifting stories and encouraging insights. Until we meet again, keep shining bright, stay inspired, and embrace your unique path to a better tomorrow.